have an illegitimate child? Did you ever wonder what their rights really are when it comes to inheritance?
Let's face it, illegitimate children exist all around us, and it's not their fault that they are. But somehow, growing up, we were given the impression that they were inferior or had fewer rights, especially when it came to inheritance.
Now, this is exactly what one of our readers wanted to know. Her name is Catherine G. Hi, Catherine. And she writes, "My daughter is an illegitimate child. Unfortunately, her father and grandfather already passed away. Okay, patay na pareho. But her great-grandmother is still alive. My daughter has a relationship with her father's family and relatives. But because the great-grandmother might have a huge inheritance to leave the family, it becomes an issue. So, would my daughter be able to fight for her rights?"
But before that, Attorney Ramon, we'd like to give a shout out to one of our followers, 𝙤𝙤𝙘𝙧𝙚 from
Hi.
Accenture, who said, "Thank you po sa insights. Very helpful siya kasi po at the moment, nasa same scenario po ako nang dinidiscuss ninyo regarding sale versus donation."
Wow.
Thank you so much, Vanessa, and please keep on sharing and watching our videos. And just to let you know, we seem to provide helpful content to you guys because the show is based on questions from followers just like you. So if you want to submit your question, just go to our website and click the submit topic button. Now let's get on with our show.
This video is brought to you by the Estate Settlement Guide, the fastest way to orient surviving family members when a loved one passes away. You will learn the basics of succession to know who can inherit and how much. It will guide you through the next steps your family needs to take so you don't incur penalties and you transfer the properties to the heirs properly. Protect your family legacy. Avoid unnecessary penalties. Go to info.legalguide.ph/estate to learn more.
Welcome to Legal Guide Philippines, where we simplify the law to help you make better choices. I'm Attorney 𝙜𝙧𝙚 and I'm with my partner.
Attorney Ramon Ramirez. So, today, we're talking about illegitimate children and what are their rights, especially when it comes to inheritance.
Usually, dyan nagkakaroon ng conflict point, Attorney Ramon.
Yes, oo, inheritance. Magkano ba, how much can they get?
Magkakasama sila lumaki,
Oo.
di ba? Pero pag dyan na yung mana, biglang
Medyo
minsan
iba na,
nagiging
no?
issue.
Okay, no. So let's get back to our reader's question, si Catherine. No? What was her question? So what's happening here? So si Catherine, our reader, she has a daughter.
Okay,
May
daughter.
anak siya. Kaya lang hindi sila kasal ni nung dad, no? So that's why illegitimate yung daughter nila, no? So yeah, most likely hindi sila kasal when she gave birth, no? So now the dad is already dead. So yung baby daddy, yung baby daddy is already dead. And also hindi lang yung dad but even yung lolo. Okay, na dad nung dad. Okay. However, buhay pa si Lola sa tuhod. Ang galing, ano? Tibay ni Lola sa tuhod.
Okay.
So, buhay pa si Lola sa tuhod, yung anak ni Lola sa tuhod or si grandfather patay na, yung apo ni Lola sa tuhod patay na rin, di ba? Buhay naman tong si illegitimate daughter. So, ang tanong ni Catherine, paano to? What are the rights of my daughter? No? Maganda naman yung relationship niya with the family. It's not like outcast siya or anything. No? So, what are her...
Nagtatanong lang.
Kasi mukhang pwedeng may ipamana si Lola sa tuhod. So, yun ang ano niya. So, that's the question. So,
it's pretty complicated, Attorney Ramon. It reminds me of our law school days. Ganito yung mga finals exam.
Oo nga eh.
Yung hindi ganun kasimple. Yung maraming layers, di ba?
Lalo yung mga professor pa naman natin, mahilig sa mga tanong na trick question. Alright. But, ayun nga. So, I think I'd like to start out our discussion today by talking about what is an illegitimate child. Okay? So let's find out who are these illegitimate children. How does one become illegitimate? And also, why is there some sort of distinction? I mean, they're all human beings naman, diba? And they did not choose to be here on Earth. How come paglabas ko, dehado na kagad ako?
Ang bigat kasi ng term eh.
Yeah.
Illegitimate.
Yes.
That means not legitimate.
Yes.
Diba? So,
and when you say not legitimate, immediately may stigma.
Oo.
Diba? Ayun.
So, kung may not legitimate, merong legitimate.
Yes.
Yan.
Okay. So, okay. So, under our law, no, right now the family code, there are two types, no, of filiation, natural filiation, no.
Mhm.
One is yung sabi mo nga legitimate children,
Aha.
and yung isa naman yung illegitimate
Or
children.
not
Okay.
legitimate.
Now, right now it's very simple, no. When you say somebody is a legitimate child, ibig sabihin lang noon, very simple, that the kid or the child was born during the marriage. Okay? During the marriage of his or her parents. Yan. Obviously, kung ganun ang legitimate child, ang illegitimate child is
Not born within the
born,
marriage.
born outside of a
Oo.
valid marriage.
Oo.
Yan. Okay. So that is the general rule, guys. Now, just to give you an idea, so that is how it is classified right now. That's how they are classified right now under the family code. Iba naman to, Attorney Erwin, sa sa adopted children. Okay?
Kumbaga parang third category.
Oo, ibang category
Parang
naman yan.
pero hindi.
Oo.
Actually,
So today we won't be talking about adopted children. We're just letting you know that these they also exist, no? So meron yung legitimate children, so born out of two parents and under a valid marriage. Pwede ring illegitimate children born out of two parents pero outside of a valid marriage. Meron din yung adopted child, meaning pwedeng hindi siya originally from two parents.
born totally outside.
Pwedeng totally outside, yes. Pero ina-adopt sila, and because of going through the process of adoption, they become treated as legitimate children.
So walang pinagkaiba as far as the law is concerned.
Yes,
Sa legitimate.
Yes, especially between yung magparents, no?
Mhm.
The relationship might differ already pag yung maglolo naman, yung adopted, and then yung parents nung adopted parents, no? But as far as the adopted child is concerned and yung parents niya, para siyang legitimate child.
Anak niya yan.
Anak na anak niya
Oo.
yan. O, yan. Okay. So, medyo sumegway tayo, no? So, under a family code, sabi nga, illegitimate children, might be interesting for you guys to know, before the family code, which was 1988, no? Yun.
Effectivity.
Yes, 1988. Now, before that time, iba yung classification ng hindi lang illegitimate. Maraming klaseng illegitimate children.
Iba yung latag.
Oo.
Mhm.
So you could be an illegitimate child by you're called a natural child or natural children. Sino yung mga natural children? Sila na yung kinasal. So they were born of parents, 'di ba? And wala namang hadlang for the parents na ikasal. Okay, they could have been validly married during the time na pinanganak yung kid, no? Pero hindi lang sila kinasal.
Mhm.
Wala lang, for whatever reason, no? So yun yung mga natural children.
Akala ko sasabihin mo, yung susunod, unnatural children.
So ayun, so natural children, pwede sanang ikasal yung parents, wala namang impediment or walang humahadlang sa pagkakasal nila, but they didn't, and they had a child, so they're called natural children. Meron namang mga natural children by legal fiction. Sino naman to? Basically, basta sinabi ng batas na they're natural children, then they're natural children. So sino yan? Usually, I think at this time, yung mga void marriages, no? They're called natural children because sabi ng batas, they are, no? Okay, meron namang another category ng illegitimate children called spurious children.
Parang pakomplikado na pong pakomplikado.
Sobra nga eh. Buti na lang nag-aral tayo ng law, family code na.
Buti
no?
pinalitan na to.
Right. So, spurious children naman, these are all other kinds of illegitimate children outside of wedlock. So, pwedeng children out of adulterous situations, incestuous, wow, grabe, sacrilegious,
Puro us.
oh. Or even yung mga manseres. Ano yung mga manseres? Mga mga anak ng mga prostitutes, mga kalapati. Oh, yeah. All right. So these no longer apply under our current code, but it's just something that you guys might want to know. Kaya nga tayo nandito. Now, there's also another classification, what we call the legitimated children.
Legitimated.
Yes.
Okay.
So
iba.
Ano ang nangyayari sa mga legitimated children? Ito naman, remember yung mga natural children, di ba? Meaning yung parents niya, wala namang hadlang para naikasal sila. However, hindi sila kinasal and then they had a child. So, anong effect, no? The child is illegitimate, di ba? So, ang legitimated children naman, naku-cure yung pagiging illegitimate nila pag ikinasal yung parents nila.
Tumawid yung status
Oo.
from illegitimate to legitimate.
Oo.
Kaya legitimated.
Yes.
Okay,
oo.
okay.
So, naging legitimate sila. Kasi, in the first place, wala namang hadlang na ikasal yung parents nila. No? So, siguro, wala lang budget. I don't know. No? There's so many reasons why hindi kakasal ang couples who have kids. No? But, nung kinasal sila, eventually, nagiging legitimated children na sila. They're treated as legitimate children. And it retroacts back to the time that they were born.
That's good to know.
Yun, good to know, no? Okay,
Buti
so
na lang family code na talaga yung inabot natin.
exactly. So going back, why the need for the distinction?
Okay.
We believe it's for several reasons. No? First, I would think na the law wants to encourage people to enter into valid marriages. I mean, have kids, have a family, but first enter into a valid marriage. I mean, what is the law anyway? It's a way of regulating the behavior of people. No? So,
And if you're going to relate a behavior, you want it to be a behavior that contributes to stability.
yes, oo.
So-
At least that's how I guess the lawmakers intended it.
Yes.
No? Yun ang tingin nila at the time. So, also it could be some sort of way of regulating or influencing people to get married first before having kids instead of having kids outside of marriage. No? So, or worse, under scandalous circumstances, like we said, like mga under adulterous relationships or whatever. No? So for us, that's why we think that may ganito. No? We have these kinds of in place. So next, we will be talking about naman yung rights of an illegitimate child. So this is our second point. Ano pa yung mga rights of an illegitimate child? Well, generally, an illegitimate child shall use the surname of his or her mother.
Okay. Of
Yeah.
course, very basic, di ba? May tao.
Mhm.
Anong pangalan ang pwede niyang gamitin?
Syempre, yung sa nanay niya.
Mhm.
Okay? The mother, of course, will have parental authority over the illegitimate child.
Not the father.
No. Oo.
Okay.
Depends. No, if the father already expressly recognizes the child, then
But by default,
by default si
it's the
mom.
mother.
Yeah.
Kasi sure tayo.
Yes.
Diyan
oo.
lumabas.
Diyan lumabas eh, di ba? Now, if the father is expressly recognized the illegitimate child, then the illegitimate child may use the father's surname as well. No? Ayan. So ano pa rights ng ating illegitimate child? Of course, an illegitimate child is also entitled to support.
Of course, kailangan kumain, kailangan
Yes.
mag-aral.
Hindi naman porket outside of wedlock na pinanganak yung bata, hindi mo na susuportahan, no? So,
The law would probably look down upon that. You know,
Yes.
It will frown upon that kasi all children are entitled to protection under the law.
Definitely. So support is very important, no? Also, an illegitimate child, ito naman pagdating sa inheritance, the general rule is an illegitimate child is entitled to one half of the legitime of a legitimate child.
Again, the legitime is the required inheritance.
Yeah, so yung if you can watch our older videos, no? But yung legitim, ano yung legitim? Yun yung matatanggap ng mga ating mga superstars under succession.
Yes.
So kailangan meron sila, and illegitimate child is also one of the superstars of succession or VIPs of succession. Hindi siya pwedeng mawalan ng mana.
Ang tawag sa kanila ay
Compulsory heirs.
Oh.
So, yung mga hindi pwedeng mawalan ng mana ay compulsory heirs.
That's why we call them VIPs.
Yes, and yung dapat nilang matanggap, yung pinaka minimum na dapat nilang matanggap bilang mana is what we call the legitim.
Kumbaga, wala ka pang ginagawa, naka-reserve na yan under the law for you.
Right. Okay, so next, after the break,
Yun lang,
Oh.
pinagkaiba, one half.
yes,
Diba? Yun lang,
with
just
the,
to stress
with the
the fact.
illegitimate child, you only get he or she only gets one half of what a legitimate child would be entitled to. Okay? So after the break, let's talk about yung mga let's go deeper into yung mga inheritance rules for an illegitimate child. Okay, so we're back. Now, let's talk about naman yung mga rights of an illegitimate child in inheritance. So we talked about the basic rule, no? The illegitimate child gets only one half of what a legitimate child would get in
Yes.
terms of yung yung legitim, no? Now, so yes, like we said earlier, an illegitimate child is considered a compulsory heir. Ibig sabihin,
Kasama siya sa usapan.
palaging kasama, no? kahit anong inheritance kasama palagi, no? Hindi siya na-echipera. And however, medyo mas limited nga in terms of 1/2. No? There is also what we call the Iron Curtain rule in the Civil
Ang
Code.
bigat pakinggan.
Oh, Iron Curtain. Anong dating ng Iron Curtain?
Parang hindi mo pwede matawid.
Oo,
Nandun siya talaga.
kurtina siya pero bakal.
Oo.
Mahirap tawirin, no? So that was what we call the Iron Curtain rule. Ano ba yung Iron Curtain rule, no? We can find that in Article 992 of our new Civil Code.
Parang magandang basahin ni
Yes.
Atty. Basa yan.
Okay. Okay, ako na si Atty. Basa. Okay. Article 992 of the Civil Code na an illegitimate child has no right to inherit ab intestato from the legitimate children and relatives of his father or mother, nor shall such children or relatives inherit in the same manner from the illegitimate child. Yun. So anong ibig sabihin nun? Yung illegitimate child under this provision says na hindi siya pwedeng magmana from yung ano niya, from yung mga relatives nung parents niya. From his parents, yes.
No problem.
No problem. Kasi compulsory heir siya.
Yes.
Pero, how about yung mana from other relatives? Mukhang hindi pwede. And it's vice versa.
Paano naman kung si illegitimate child yung...
Wari, yumaman siya. Naging tycoon.
Oo.
Hindi, under this provision, yung mga kamag-anak niya na legitimate, hindi rin pwede magmana sa kanya. Okay? So,
Sounds fair.
Sounds fair. Sounds fair kasi may reciprocity, pero parang hindi masyado, no? Kasi lalo na in a lot of situations like where the illegitimate child is for all intents and purposes part of the family.
Ayun.
'Di ba? In those situations, parang and then pagdating na ng mana, parang sobra nilang dehado. 'Di ba? So but this rule has been implemented so many times. So this Iron Curtain rule. Now, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel, Attorney Erwin.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So in a very recent case, and it was penned by our professor, Justice Leonen.
Hi, sir.
Hi, sir. Kung nanonood kayo, sir. Okay.
Hello,
So, so yes, this in a recent case penned by Justice Leonen. I think it was Aquino versus Aquino. No? GR 208912 and 209018. Yan. At this time that we've recorded it, we haven't seen the actual case. We haven't read it. It's not been made available to us. No, but there was an article in the Supreme Court website talking about this case already. No, so anong nangyari in this case? No, in this in this case of Aquino versus Aquino. Diba sabi natin Iron Curtain rule. No? So si illegitimate child hindi pwedeng magmana kasi from the relatives ng mga magulang niya. 'Di ba? So
hanggang magulang ka lang.
Hanggang magulang ka lang, like kung sa lolo, 'di ba? Sa mga tito, tita, hindi pwede, no? Or lolo, lola sa tuod, hindi rin pwede, no? So however, in this case of Aquino versus Aquino, the Supreme Court relaxed yung rule na yan. No? So sinasabi nila na hindi dapat yata kasama yung ascendants doon sa term na relatives. Kasi doon nanggagaling yun di ba? Yung hindi pwede magmana sa relatives. So lahat, no? including lolo, lola, di ba? But in this case, the Supreme Court seems to have relaxed it. And maganda yung discussion nila doon, no? Na they made the distinction between marital and non-marital children. Actually, parang mas gusto nilang gamitin na yata yung term na yun, no? Instead of legitimate, illegitimate, which I think makes sense, no? Also, yun. So ganun yung naging discussion. So there's a light. We haven't seen the case yet, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel, which the conclusion seems to be na yung Iron Curtain rule will not apply sa ascendants. Okay? So kung si illegitimate child, pwede pa rin siyang magmana sa lolo, lola sa tuhod. Okay? So yun. We're looking forward to seeing that case. Okay? But is that the only way para maka-inherit si illegitimate child if ever? Wala, may Iron Curtain rule Kuwari, sa tita or sa hindi na ba pwede? Meron pa ring paraan, no? So there are two types of succession. Meron tayong intestate succession, which is yung automatic rules.
Kasi walang napag-usapan.
Yes,
The
oo.
default rules will apply.
Yes, or we can do it through testamentary.
Ibig sabihin, may iniwang instructions.
May iniwang instructions or meron tayong tinatawag na will, no? So, an illegitimate child may become also an heir ng relatives, no? Through a will, okay? Because like we said, yung Iron Curtain rule will only apply in intestate succession, no? So, posible naman, but to be very sure about that, you're going to have to consult your lawyer, no? Kung paano ilalagay yung illegitimate child sa will, kasi may mga, even in writing a will, there will be a lot of rules there. Okay? So, next, we'll be talking about naman, so, let's answer Catherine's question. So, Catherine's probably saying, okay, attorney, ang dami mo nang sinabi. So, pwede bang magmana yung yung anak ko or hindi?
Ang haba rin ng intro mo.
Well, it was necessary, di ba? So, anyway, going back, if we're going to apply the Iron Curtain rule, then the initial sagot there will be, ay, mukhang malabo. Because si Lola sa tuhod is a relative of the father, no? Yung deceased father. So baka magkakaproblema tayo na mag-inherit siya, no? But again, once we see this new case that was penned by Justice Leone, no? Yung Aquino versus Aquino, then maybe we can give you a more definitive answer there. And it seems to me that there is possibility there that the child, your daughter, can still inherit from from kay Lola sa tuhod. Okay, so I think that's good news, no? That's good news, very good news for you, no? Now, again, if you want to make sure na maka-inherit si daughter, then
there's another way.
Yes, there's another way.
Okay.
If si Lola sa tuhod really intends to leave something for her, then maybe you can execute, si Lola sa tuhod can execute a last will and testament, which will name your daughter as one of her heirs.
So, let me recap that, Attorney Ramon, ha?
Oo.
So, pwedeng umasa tayo dun sa bagong case.
Yes, correct.
Kasi lumalabas, the illegitimate child can inherit from ascendants. But to be doubly sure, pwedeng mag-execute na lang ng will.
Yes, correct. Now, again, yung will is not basta-basta. Please consult your lawyer on how to do that. No, you need a professional to help you with that. Okay? So, Catherine, we hope we answered your question. And marami tayong napag-usapan. So, I think, Attorney Erwin, would you like to recap what we talked about?
Sure. First off, we talked about what is an illegitimate child. Ang dami palang di ba? Distinctions or nuances ng pagiging illegitimate.
Yes.
Next, nung naintindihan na natin what an illegitimate child is, we talked about the rights of an illegitimate child. And there, we were able to emphasize that pretty much rights are there, but the most important part is that one half lang of the inheritance of a legitimate child yung matatanggap niya. Third point is rights in the inheritance. Yun nga, pinag-usapan natin yung Iron Curtain rule, as well as the nuances there. And finally, we talked about our recommendations for Catherine and her situation.
For most of you, this video was more than enough. And if it makes your life easier, then you're welcome. But there are those of you who will watch this video and will have more questions to ask, such as, Attorney, what if there are more children involved? Or, Attorney, what happens if the heirs cannot agree? Or maybe, Attorney, what if there are no children but the parents are still alive? Yan, ang daming questions. No? And if that's you, then we invite you to check out our Estate Settlement Guide workshop. So it's a workshop, guys, not a book, where in as little as 1 hour, we give you a crash course on succession law and a general roadmap of the entire estate settlement framework. With this guide, you will know exactly where you are in the process, regardless of whether you're doing it on your own or you have hired someone to assist you. Now, you can access this workshop at info.legalguide.ph/estate today.
To add to that, people say that our show seems to read what's in your mind and answers them. Well, that's because we base our show on submitted questions from our viewers. Please tell us what you want us to talk about by going to www.legalguide.ph and click the Submit Topic button. If you want to get a shout out in our show, please give us feedback at info.legalguide.ph/feedback so we can read what you found helpful and acknowledge you properly. Last, if you feel we've earned a good rating, please give us a like and subscribe because it gives us feedback and notifies us. It notifies you about upcoming videos.
Now, one last thing. Children are a blessing no matter how they come into this world. They did not cause themselves to be classified as legitimate or illegitimate. No. The law as it is now gives less privileges to illegitimate children. So if you want to protect their rights or their futures, be sure to plan way, way, way ahead. Don't wait when people start dying around them. Consult your trusted legal professional and see how you can protect them. So wasn't that simple? Now go make better choices.